I'm here with Alec, ciancitto, and today we're going to be talking about a book that he read called Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Hey, how's it going?
Alec, can you tell me some of your character names?
Some of the characters in my book are Bruno, Shmuel. We've got Bruno's dad, who he just calls father, and of course Bruno's mother, who he just calls mother. We also have the maid of the house, Maria, and that's about it. Just a bunch of other small characters like Gretel. She doesn't really play a role. That's about it.
And tell me about Bruno's dad.
Bruno's dad. Bruno's dad is a Nazi officer, so I can't imagine what life must be like for Bruno. I know he's got a much stricter household than most because of his father's high position in the Nazi army. So that's got to be rough. But I mean, he lives a normal life pretty much. But his dad's doing some bad stuff. That's for sure.
What concentration camp was his dad running?
His dad was running Auschwitz, which is it's not really a concentration camp. It's more like a death camp actually, which is crazy because people would just go there to die, which is terrible. No, not just people. Jewish people would just go there to die, and I mean, yeah, the Bruno had no clue where he was.
And what persuaded Bruno to go talk to the boy on the other side of the fence?
Bruno, when he came to Auschwitz from Berlin, Germany, he had no friends. He had no clue. But from his room, he could see people on the other side of the fence, and he just saw people in these, he called them striped pajamas. So, I mean, he, as any 9-year-old boy would do, he was really curious. He decided, hey, I'm going to go check it out. So he went exploring over near the fence, and he saw a boy around his age just sitting there on the other side of the fence. He just decided to talk to him, and that boy was Shmuel.
At one point in the book, Bruno saw Shmuel in his house cleaning glasses. What was the consequence that Shmuel had to go through for being in the house?
Well, Shmuel was allowed in the house. He was supposed to be cleaning the dishes, but Bruno gave Shmuel food, which he really wasn't supposed to do. And Shmuel, of course, being starved at this camp, he ate it. And the punishment was that Shmuel was beat pretty severely.
Mm-hmm. What was Bruno's life like back in Berlin?
Bruno's life back at Berlin, he said that Berlin was just a really big, bustling city. And I mean, it is. But he said that he used to have friends that he'd just go hang out with. He'd be at school. He loved his house. He said his house was huge. He'd been in places he hadn't even explored in his house. So that says a lot. I can see why he wouldn't like Auschwitz or Poland as much as he liked Berlin, Germany, because there's not really much to do out in the countryside when you're a 9-year-old little boy.
And when Shmuel was taken in by the Nazis, tell me a little bit more about what happened leading up to that.
Shmuel said that his life, it was pretty good before the turn of events. He lived in a normal house with his family, and the Nazis, they took him out of that house. They put him in a smaller house in the ghetto, and yeah, they took him out of that house. There was he said 11 people living in one small tiny room. I couldn't imagine that. I need my space, man. But 11 people in one room, and he said that one day they just came, took them all, and put them on this dirty, disgusting train, shipped them off to Auschwitz, and he didn't know, they didn't do anything wrong. He didn't know what was going on. I mean, he was a 9-year-old boy at the time, too. You can't really know what's going on when you're a 9-year-old little boy, and these huge change of events just happen.
Since Bruno's mom knows what's going on, she seems a bit off about it. Explain that.
She never really outright said it, but I don't think Bruno's mom supports what Bruno's dad's doing either. She always says it's not good for the kids to see. She always says all this other stuff about how she doesn't like it, and people that really didn't like it was Bruno's father's grandparents. Bruno's grandparents, Bruno's father's parents. they really didn't like it. His mom was extremely against it. So you can see that Bruno's been seeing his father must be doing something wrong, but he's pretty much brainwashed to think, hey, these Nazis are good guys. They're not doing anything wrong. Everything's going on. It's completely normal.
Hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit more on Maria's role in the family?
Maria's role in the family, she is pretty much just the maid, but she thinks when she was younger, she had troubles and stuff at home, and Bruno's father helped her out a lot, gave her a job as the maid and everything. Um, but her main role, she doesn't really have a role. She's pretty much just a maid.
Yeah. And towards the end of the book, Bruno decides to go under the fence. He gets a striped, quote unquote, striped pajamas uniform, and he goes under the fence. And what happened once he was in Auschwitz?
He went to go visit Shmuel underneath the fence to see what it was like over there. And pretty much what happened was these Nazis just gathered them all up, and they didn't know who Bruno was, and Bruno had no clue what was going on. So they all marched into a formation, marched into a gas chamber, and, unfortunately, they all went in the gas chamber, and we all know what happens in gas chambers. They all got gassed, and they all died, which is insane because I didn't expect either of them to die. I definitely didn't expect Bruno to die in that book. So.
Mm-hmm. And once Bruno's mom and dad realized that he was missing and they decided to go to Auschwitz to investigate, what was Bruno's mother's first thought?
She didn't really have a thought on what was going on. She had no clue. But that's about it. She had no clue. They just went there when to see what was up. They looked everywhere for Bruno.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me on the show.